The world thinks it knows Rick Harrison. He's the king of pawn, the sharp-witted negotiator from the Las Vegas desert who can spot a fake from a mile away and tell you the history of a Civil War bayonet without blinking. For years, we've watched him on Pawn Stars, turning forgotten relics into treasure. He is a television icon, a businessman, a history buff, and a figure as much a part of the Vegas landscape as the glittering casinos themselves. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling? When the last customer leaves the gold and silver pawn shop and the neon sign fades into the night? Who is the man behind the counter? For a long time, the answer was locked away behind a set of unassuming garage doors. The world might have expected to see a few nice cars. What they didn't expect was a sanctuary, because when those doors were finally opened, what they found inside left them speechless. It wasn't just a collection of priceless vehicles. It was a cathedral of steel and memory, a high-tech workshop built for creation, and a deeply personal refuge built as a tribute to a life of relentless passion. And in the wake of a devastating personal loss, it has become something more, a place of healing. This is the story of what lies behind that door. You've seen him on Pawn Stars, but you've never seen this side of him. The side that exists between the roar of an engine and the silent hum of a welding torch. The world sees the Pawn King, but inside this garage, another man exists entirely, a craftsman, a creator, a father, and a son. This isn't just a tour of a celebrity car collection. This is an exclusive look into Rick Harrison's private world, a mechanical paradise where every vehicle tells a story, and where the process of restoration is not just for machines, but for the soul. From the outside, it doesn't look like much. In a city defined by spectacle, Rick Harrison's garage is deliberately anonymous. There are no flashing signs, no velvet ropes. But to step through its doors is to enter another world entirely. The first thing that hits you isn't a specific car, but the atmosphere. The air is cool and crisp, a stark contrast to the desert heat, a necessity for the preservation of history. Antique leather, delicate wiring, and irreplaceable original parts are all shielded from the brutal Las Vegas climate. Then, your eyes adjust. This is no dimly lit storage unit. The space is bathed in bright, professional lighting, meticulously planned to illuminate every corner and every curve of the machines it houses. It feels less like a garage and more like a high-tech laboratory or a museum's private restoration wing. This is a place built for serious work. The scale of the operation is staggering, a vast cathedral dedicated to the automobile. But it's the equipment that truly tells the story. You see multiple car lifts, standing like steel sentinels. There are specialized welding bays and precision tool stations laid out with surgical neatness. This isn't the garage of a man who just buys finished cars. This is the workshop of a man who builds them, who understands them from the inside out, who gets his hands dirty. Friends have described it as a mechanical haven, a place where every detail is a reflection of Rick's deep mechanical expertise. He's not just the owner, he's the chief surgeon. You can almost hear the echoes of past projects, the hiss of a welder, the scream of a power tool. It's a symphony of restoration. This space is the physical manifestation of a mind that is constantly building. It's a temple for restoration, but it's clear that what's being restored here is more than just metal and paint. To understand this sanctuary, you have to go back in time, long before the TV crews and global fame. You have to go back to a kid with a restless mind and a fascination for anything with an engine. His self-described car addiction didn't begin with a fat checkbook, it began with oil-stained hands. Born in North Carolina, Rick's family moved to Las Vegas in 1981. His father, Richard, the old man, Harrison, was in the second-hand business, and Rick was there from the start. While other kids were playing with toy cars, Rick was learning about real ones, what made them run, what made them break, and what they were worth. It was a hands-on education in the mechanics of life and machines. That early exposure ignited a lifelong spark. Cars became his language. By the time he and his father officially opened the gold and silver pawn shop in 1989, that spark was afire. The pawn business was a world of constant discovery. People brought in everything imaginable, and among the jewelry and artifacts, there were always cars. Each one was a puzzle, a piece of history with a story. As the pawn shop grew, so did Rick's ability to indulge his passion. The fame from Pawn Stars didn't create the car addict, it just gave him a bigger budget. He once amassed a collection of over 30 cars and motorcycles. But for Rick, it was never about the quantity. He was curating a personal history. One of his absolute favorites, a vehicle he calls a 12-year-long project, is his custom-built 1940 Chevrolet Special Deluxe. This car is the physical embodiment of his childhood fantasies. He speaks of growing up with Hot Wheels and car magazines, dreaming of the low-slung, fat-fendered cars of a bygone era. So he built one. He took a classic Chevy and transformed it, chopping the roof and modifying it with a modern engine and air suspension. It's a rolling piece of art, a nostalgic nod to the toys that shaped his imagination. This car, more than any other, proves his passion is about active creation, a labor of love that proves his garage is, first and foremost, a workshop for making dreams tangible. Every great collection has a centerpiece, and in Rick Harrison's garage, a place filled with horsepower, that role belongs to a true American icon, a high-performance 1960s Ford Mustang. While rumors have swirled about ultra-rare models, his collection has been known to include a stunning 1968 Mustang GT Fastback. This car channels the spirit of one of the most legendary Mustangs ever conceived, the Shelby GT 500 Super Snake. The story of the Super Snake is the stuff of automotive folklore. In 1967, Carroll Shelby, the maestro of performance, set out to build the ultimate Mustang. He fitted a GT 500 with a lightweight aluminum 427 cubic inch racing engine, the same type that had dominated Le Mans. The result was a street-legal monster pushing astonishing horsepower. But the project was deemed too expensive for production, and only one prototype was ever made, making it a true mythical beast. To have a car that even echoes the audacious spirit of the Super Snake is to own a piece of that dream. For Rick, high-performance Mustangs represent the pinnacle of the muscle car era, a period he reveres. It's an icon of American ingenuity, built by a visionary who pushed the limits. On Pawn Stars, Rick has handled similar legends, like a 1967 Shelby GT 350, showing his deep appreciation for these quintessential cool cars of the 1960s. In the context of his garage, a car like this is a focal point. Its aggressive lines and iconic silhouette command attention. It sits among the other classics not just as a peer, but as a king. When Rick looks at this car, he's not just seeing an asset, he's seeing the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. It's the ultimate Hot Wheels car from his childhood, brought to life in stunning, terrifyingly powerful detail. While a powerhouse Mustang might be the garage's roaring heart, the collection's soul is found in its more peculiar corners. Rick's passion isn't limited to classic muscle. His is the curiosity of a historian, a man fascinated by ingenuity and the strange footnotes of mechanical history. This is perfectly captured by his interest in vehicles like the Ford GPA amphibious Jeep, known as a Seep, a mashup of seagoing Jeep. This vehicle is a genuine relic of World War II. Military strategists needed a vehicle that could drive off a ship, navigate to shore like a boat, and then function as a standard Jeep on land. The Ford GPA was the answer, a car that needed both a title and a boat registration. However, the GPA's performance was mixed, and it was produced in limited numbers, making it incredibly rare today. On an episode of Pawn Stars, a restorer estimated he spent around 3,000 hours bringing a similar vehicle back to life. For Rick, the value of a machine like the GPA isn't just in its rarity, it's in its narrative. It speaks of a specific moment in time, of the desperate innovation of a world at war. It perfectly marries his two greatest passions, history and machines. In the landscape of his garage, an interest in a vehicle like the amphibious Jeep stands out. It proves that his collection is not just a showcase of the fastest or most beautiful cars, but a curated museum of mechanical marvels. It's a tribute to the strange, the innovative, and the forgotten chapters of automotive history. A person's workshop often reflects their state of mind. For Rick Harrison, his garage has always been a place of focus. He has called the work he does there psychotherapy, a way to quiet a hyperactive mind by concentrating on the tangible problems of a machine. But in early 2024, this space took on a new, profound, and heartbreaking significance. In January, Rick's world was shattered by the tragic death of his son, Adam, who lost his life to a fentanyl overdose at the age of 39. The loss was sudden, devastating, and public. For any parent, losing a child is an unimaginable grief, a wound that never truly heals. In the aftermath, the garage became more than a hobby space. It became his refuge. In the quiet hum of the workshop, Rick found a place to process his grief. He threw himself into his work. The familiar rhythm of mechanical tasks, the arc of a welding torch, the tightening of a bolt, became a form of meditation. Grief is chaotic. In recent interviews, Rick has spoken with raw honesty about how you second-guess everything. Could I have done something different? He asks, a question that echoes in the heart of any parent who has faced such a loss. In the garage, that chaos gives way to order. A broken engine can be fixed. A rusted frame can be repaired. There is a deep, anchoring solace in that logic. In working with his hands, in bringing a forgotten machine back to life, he could find a small measure of control in a world that had spun out of it. Each project became a quiet tribute. The garage, already a place of passion, was now a place of healing. It's where a father can retreat from the world and pour his sorrow and love into the machines that have always been his solace. To walk through Rick Harrison's garage is to realize, car collection is too limiting. This space is a living museum of machinery, reflecting the many facets of his personality, the historian, the rebel, and the pragmatist. Alongside the powerful custom sits a stunning 1966 Imperial Crown convertible, a car he inherited from his father, the Old Man. This behemoth, over 20 feet long, was a true statement of American luxury. Rick admits that driving it is like driving a boat, but its sentimental value is immeasurable. It's a direct link to his father, a cherished piece of his legacy. Then there is the beast known as the 1947 Dodge Power Wagon. This isn't just a truck, it's a custom-built monster. Rick wanted the most badass truck in existence, so he created it, stuffing a modern 500 horsepower engine into the classic frame. This vehicle reflects his rugged, off-the-grid side, perfectly suited for the months he spends at his remote Oregon property. The collection also reveals his rebellious streak through his love for motorcycles. There are Harleys and beautifully restored classic Triumphs. He admits with a laugh that he's had 13 surgeries from motorcycle accidents, yet when asked if he'd do it all again, he just points to the newest bike he bought. This isn't just a hobby, it's an essential part of who he is. His daily driver further illustrates the practical side of his passion, a Ford F-150 Raptor. He rates it a perfect 10, not for luxury, but for sheer capability. It's the perfect tool for his life in the Oregon mountains, capable of hauling supplies and navigating rough roads. It's a workhorse, chosen for function over form. For a man like Rick Harrison, a project is never truly finished. The garage, as it stands, is an incredible testament to his life's work, but it's not the final chapter. He has already made plans to expand, reportedly with an additional 4,000 square foot garage. This expansion is about more than just needing extra space. It's a commitment to the craft, the therapy, and the lifestyle his workshop provides. He moved to a new location with fewer HOA restrictions, a place where he could, in his words, more freely indulge his industrial hobbies. What does that mean? One can only imagine. It hints at bigger and more ambitious projects, with space for larger machinery. This new, even larger space is the logical conclusion of his drive for a perfect, all-encompassing workshop. He's a man who has not only built a car collection, but but an entire off-grid oasis at his Oregon ranch, complete with a rebuilt hydroelectric turbine and a sawmill to create his own lumber. This is a man who doesn't just build cars, he builds his entire world. The future garage will be the next iteration of his sanctuary. It will be a place where he can continue to find solace, to honor the past by restoring its artifacts, and to build a future with his own two hands. The next set of garage doors will open onto a new chapter, one filled with more incredible machines and the continuing story of a man who builds his legacy one piece of steel at a time. From the outside looking in, the world sees the Pawn Star, the tough businessman who built an empire from the forgotten treasures of others. But behind the closed doors of his private garage, a different man emerges. Here, in this cathedral of chrome and steel, we find the craftsman, the historian, the father, and the son. We see the kid from Vegas in the fat-fendered 1940 Chevy, a Hot Wheels dream brought to life through a decade of labor. We see the ultimate ambition of a collector in a powerful Mustang GT that channels the spirit of American muscle. We see the history buff captivated by the ingenuity of military relics, and the son cherishing the massive 1966 Imperial Crown, a rolling piece of his father's legacy. This garage is far more than an impressive collection of assets. It's a living timeline, where each vehicle is a milestone. It is a workshop where Rick Harrison doesn't just escape the pressures of the world, but actively rebuilds his own. He calls this work his psychotherapy, a way of finding order and purpose in the methodical process of restoration. In the wake of unspeakable loss, that process has taken on a deeper meaning. This sanctuary has become a place of healing, where grief is channeled into creation. It stands as a testament to his passion, his resilience, and his unwavering belief in the power of building something real. Rick Harrison's garage reminds us that the most valuable collections are not measured in dollars, but in the stories they tell and the lives they represent. What did you think of Rick Harrison's incredible collection and the story behind it? Which vehicle was your favorite, and what does it say about the man himself? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more exclusive looks into the private worlds of the world's most interesting figures, make sure to subscribe.